than murdered. All the friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. And the bird said nevermore.
You're listening to The Call Podcast with Brandon and Josh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of The Call. It is a Baltimore Ravens podcast where we talk anything and everything Baltimore Ravens football. Thank you for listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Well,
Anything
here
else?
we got them all. Well, who knows about
Apple
Apple Pod?
working?
Yeah,
was
Apple
gonna say.
still ain't working. We don't know what's going on with Apple. It is ridiculous at this point. But we are giving you guys all kinds of options to listen to us. But here we are, end of week 4. The Ravens are coming back from Mile High City with a W. I predicted that. Josh didn't. We're going to talk about that. But
Boy,
they
was
were-
I glad you were right and I was wrong.
I'm happy about it too, but we're going to talk all about it, everything going on, the controversy at the end of the game, Lamar's late hit. Let's talk all about it. Joining me as
There's a
always.
sneak peek.
No, yeah, there is none. Yeah,
There is none.
Quickest show ever. My buddy Josh, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm fantastic after that, man. Wow. Again, like I was rudely interrupting you in your intro. I was happy you were right and I was wrong. And boy, was I wrong widely. I mean, I predicted a close game, obviously lost 27-24 Broncos. But, dude, I mean, come on. Ravens going out 7-0 in the second quarter. We all were like huffing and puffing, like, here we go. You let this team hang around for a quarter. Ravens couldn't get anything going. And then, of course, Broncos draw first blood. And you're like, okay, here to go. Yep. They're going to be a road loss because they can't get in gear. And boy, did they say enough's enough. 23 unanswered points to a convincing 2-touchdown plus win. They're 2-1 on the road. They've played 3 out of 4 on the road already. Bro, I'm not saying it was a perfect game by any stretch of the means, right? Because there was moments in the game where it kind of made you like, really? And what we're going to certainly break it all down. But at the end of the day, man, wow, they just won the 3rd straight game. Put it in perspective. You know, we were together for the Monday night game, right? And they barely lost that game. They could have had that. And we're looking at the schedule and you're like, oh, I don't know. Again, with any certain plays, they could easily be 0-4, 4-0, any 2-2. They could be any combination of these 4 games. But to win their 2nd straight road game, I don't care if it was heroics 2 weeks ago or I don't really care. They won their 2nd straight road game in the NFL, which is hard to do anyway, right? And they did it convincingly, man. That was impressive across the board. After that first quarter and then how the second quarter kind of started in that first minute with a touchdown there by the Broncos, leaving them wide open. Can't do that. And I believe it was Noah Fant who caught the touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, their tight end. So leaving Noah Fant wide open like that on that pattern, it was just like, okay, dude, like really? And then, dude, Ravens said, like I alluded to, enough's enough. They kind of clamped down and just said, all right, that's it. You're not getting any more. And they didn't. It's 23-7 win, man. That was impressive.
This was definitely the best game the Ravens have played so far this year. They have seen, I listened to the game. I didn't get to watch the game. I listened to the game coming back from the beach on Sunday. So I had the game on the entire time from that drive. But hearing Hollywood Brown show off again, he had a terrible game last week. And to see him come back and not be fazed by it, have that fantastic touchdown. I mean, the highlight reel touchdown is what we saw. That was a Hollywood highlight reel right there. Seeing that, the defense doing their job, and this is probably the best they've looked all around, being able to stop the pass, stop the runs pretty well.
Except Marlon Humphrey being drugged 30 yards almost, and it was a angry run winner.
Yeah,
I tweeted them right as soon as it happened. I didn't know if I was going to be retweeted or liked or shown on NFL Network, but right as soon as it happened, Javonte Williams, the rookie, pretty much doing a spin move at the line. We all know the run, right? And if you watch Good Morning Football, angry runs, it won. He broke a few tackles. I think I think there was a few like missed tackles and jukes there, but he basically drug all pro Marlon Humphrey like from like the 27-yard line to what, the 8. Like it was ridiculous. Kyle Brand, of course, was going ridiculous and nuts as usual on angry runs, and it was the winner.
I don't know how that guy has that much energy that early in the morning.
Who?
Kyle Brandt.
Yeah. I love that segment. Like, obviously we disagree with wholeheartedly for what he said about the end of the Ravens game, which as soon as he said that, I kind of like turned the TV off. I'm like, nah, I don't even care about your opinion. I mean, opinions are opinions, but I had the right to turn the TV off too. But I was like, nope. As soon as I heard he disagreed, I'm like, you're an idiot. But still love the angry run, still love Kyle. But yeah, but he does have a lot of energy when he does that. I love that. It's my favorite segment of all time. I love it. And whoever came up with it's brilliant. Angry runs, like, it's freaking awesome, dude.
You get the scepter and the T-shirt. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's awesome. I need to get one of those T-shirts.
I gotta say though, Kyle Brandt probably went against everybody at the table just for television's sake. I
think it was because someone wrote that on Twitter saying like, and I think it was Sarah Ellison, formerly of obviously Ravens Employment, thinks, or someone responded to or somewhere. I think I have it saved. But anyway, you're right. Like, you know. And we're, of course, alluding to the end of the game, which, in fact, was wild in itself. Like, I know, like, you could maybe put this as a 4th game in a row, not to, like, say drama with, like, the score, but maybe just, like, how it ended, because credit to the Broncos, right? Ravens could not get nothing going, right, on the ground game. I mean, you know, Latavius Murray, and on the touchdown run, he looked impressive, but hitting the holes, we seen Le'Veon Bell's first action, which he didn't really get much going, right? Tyson Williams was a healthy scratch because Harbaugh and the coaches felt like he wanted to give the veterans who were just brought in a try, right? You know, it was nothing against, there was no doghouse, there's nothing against Tyson. I think he'll be back in the mix. But Latavius Murray ran hard on the touchdown run. They gave it to him on the left side. It was a great touchdown. But you know, I guess we can really go into it, right? I mean, not to pick the game off start to finish, but you know, starting off with that, the Ravens, and I didn't know about the streak until this game. So apart from a few media members on FN Network, they admitted too. And I don't know, did you know anything about the streak?
No,
at all.
And let's be honest about the streak. I mean, yes, it's a streak, and yes, it's cool that the Ravens got it. But like, it's like the preseason streak. It is meaningless, but it is something that is.
Well, this is meaningful.
I mean, but like no one's getting a trophy for this. Like, it's not something that. Yes, it's good they're in the record books, but it's not something like, you know, they're not about to win the AFC because of it.
Right, but as Harbaugh alluded to, and his answer was spot on, and a lot of former players, especially one of our own Super Bowl champion, Shannon Sharp, loudly and proudly agreed with the stance is, you know, like Harbaugh said, it's ours to worry about and ours to win. Like, the coaches and the players, they all wanted this, and they're going to be a part of that forever. Like, you know, apart from Vic's comments, Vic Fangio's, you know, him being salty, that is absolutely ridiculous. Because like Harbaugh said, like, since when can you score a 16-point touchdown in one play? Like these idiots were trying to score and going down using their timeouts with a minute left, and you're down 23-7. Like, you weren't going to win the game. It's your fault that the Ravens got it in the first place. Like, I completely come unglued and laughed so hard at that, because I'm like, because we were actually upset. Like, me, my dad, and my friend Josh were watching the game together, and we're like, are they going to be really 3 yards short to tie a Pittsburgh Steelers record? We're not going to hear the end of that. 3 yards of all the rushing that we've done, and you're going to be 3 yards short. And again, credit to the Denver Broncos of scheming that up and really stopping the run. And we know, obviously, it forced Lamar to throw it, and he had a great day throwing the football, right? But to call a timeout with a few seconds left in the game, try to throw a touchdown, and for Anthony Averett to pick that off with 3 seconds left, like, that's all your fault. Like, and for all those who haven't seen it yet, Undisputed, Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, both of him, they had a great exchange. Shannon Sharp being a former player, being of this organization. Both of those gentlemen have nothing but high praise to say. Even Skip Bayless said it's one of the best organizations, and he has utmost respect for him. Again, you can sit there and agree, disagree, but I know, like you said, Kyle Brand alluded to, like, maybe you disagree with the panel just for making good TV, right? You know, secretly he probably had to agree to disagree, but whatever. It is what it is. But it's like, it was funny because, like, I think the Broncos coaching staff, especially Vic, alluded to etiquette, and all these other people alluding to etiquette. I'm like, etiquette? Like Harbaugh said, like, you're trying to score and calling timeouts with a minute left on the clock when you're down 2 scores. Like, do you understand the Broncos needed 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversions, and an onside kick to recover. They weren't going to win the game. What are you doing? Like, but it was awesome. And then when they got the record, we're all jumping up and down. I'm like, and by the way, they tied it. And I didn't know it existed, but it's apparently 43. It's apparently like what? Like it was in the 70s. So it was when the Steelers were good and won their titles. 43 straight games. It's like over 3 seasons of rushing the football as a team, not a single player, but as a team, 100 yards as a team. The Ravens got 102. They got 5 yards out of Lamar, which was awesome. They preserved the record. They have the chance to break that Pittsburgh Steelers record on a Monday Night Football game against a former Baltimore team. So it's going to be epic regardless. But obviously that's the stage is set, and that's what the end of the game was. But how they got there, man, what an aerial assault with Lamar. His second 300 passing game. The first one was Miami in 2019, the opening day game with the perfect passing record there, 5 touchdowns. That was impressive. He had some beautiful balls to Mark Andrews. You're right. The bounce back a game of Marquise Brown, of letting the team down in drops. And by the way, the Ravens, I think, lead the league in drops, which is scary, but they're still a 3-1 football team. They're winning. He laid out, and he laid it all out for that touchdown catch, which was one of the plays of the week. Fantastic, man. Fantastic efforts all around.
Yeah, and the Ravens really showed this week. This is a big thing, is this entire season, we have seen the Ravens kind of leading throughout the game, and then the lead gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then in week 1, we saw them lose it. But, we had to have Justin Tucker do his thing last week against Detroit in order to win that game. These leads kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the game went on. At halftime, they were talking about it on the radio, and they said the Ravens really have something to show here. If they can hold this lead, keep this lead, it'll show that these guys are the real deal, that they can keep a team at bay and not let them inch back. And that's what we saw this week. And that was really great to see. This team is getting better as the season goes on. You want to see that. The only thing that probably they didn't get better at was the run. The Denver Broncos defense, you got to give it to them. Like you said, they really were able to keep that run at bay. So I am a little worried about that heading to Monday Night Football up against Indy. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, I think this was really a team win. It's fantastic to see. Hollywood Brown was really able to ball out. We got to see Lamar do his thing. The offensive line held strong. Lamar's been sacked a little bit more than I would have liked the last couple weeks, but it seems as if the offensive line is getting a little bit better, and it also seems like the refs are kind of letting Lamar get hit a little bit more with late hits. But
Which he had something to say about that.
He did, and the Ravens did send the NFL some videotape to kind of show that, hey, we're not just making this up. This is blatant late hits. I don't know if you watched the Wired episode as well, but Bradley Bozeman was mic'd up, and when Lamar got that late hit, Bradley Bozeman, he went up to the referee and was like, did you see that? What are you doing? Why are you letting them touch my boy like that? So, I mean, everyone's seeing it. The players, the coaches, Lamar's definitely feeling it. And we already know he's dealing with a bruised back or a bad back in some way. So the less we can have that guy on the ground on his back, the better. Right.
And we understand it's football. It's a violent physical game.
Sure.
And it wasn't a illegal late hit whatsoever, but like obviously the Ravens were hitting hard. Obviously they knocked Bridgewater out of the game, but it wasn't malicious, right? And not saying the late hits against Lamar are malicious or anything, but they're late. Like the one he threw it, and it probably was a good second or two, and then the guy like runs into him. I have to go back and my memory says correctly whether the defensive player like deliberately shoved him or he was knocked into. I don't know, but I remember like Lamar kind of like tumbling and then putting his hands in the air immediately and was like, "What's up?" And I'm like, I don't know if it's a Raven thing, but what's up? Because how many times under Flacco era did we whine about that? And I hate to use the word whine and complain, but it's a valid point that you'd be playing. It'd be like Patriots Ravens. Brady gets a sniff and he gets a flag, and then Joe Flacco gets wrong, and he's kind of like the same thing. Like, oh, come on, dude. And you're like, so I don't know if it's just maybe just they don't like calling those kind of quarterback late hits against the Ravens, no matter if it's Lamar or Joe Flacco on their center. I don't know, but it's weird. But you're right. We as fans and players and coaches all collectively at the Flock have a legitimate argument and a voice to be raised there because it was an untimely late hit there, and a flag could have been warranted. But and that's another thing is, what if it isn't a legit late hit? And what if Lamar does tear his knee up or actually gets hurt, puts out for the year? Then you're like, really? It's just like, I don't know. I mean, with all the injuries to quarterbacks and all that, and we know with the faces of the league and all that, we know that the rules are there to protect the quarterback at all costs. Not to say they don't protect the other players, but we understand quarterbacks make the money. They make the league go around. We understand they make the money. So we have something to say about it here. But all in all, speaking of the body of work of Ravens, no turnovers, always equal a good game, right? Again, I could get on board with a loss, road or home, if the Ravens take care of the football, do everything right, and the other team just beat them. But just like when you allude to, like with the Monday night game, it's hard to get on board. And if they don't win the Monday night game, great. I'm not saying, again, I'm not gonna, like with the just like with the Lions game, like I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, they should have lost again the way they played. But it's when Lamar directly turns the ball over twice on fumbles and it's 14 points and you lose by 6 in overtime, like, do the math. Like, you don't give up the goal. If the Ravens score some sort of points on those 2 drives and don't give the ball up at all, if let's say they score a field goal on one and punt the ball on the other, Ravens easily win the game, right? Obviously, math, sure. Easy math. So it's like, even if they score 7, it's a mean point. They score 14 points on both of those possessions, instead of turn the ball over, game's over. It's a rout. You just can't turn the ball over and give the other team a shot, especially when they turn it into 7 the other way. You're giving free points up. That's what I was actually most impressive of, obviously, with number 2 and Lamar playing well, passing the ball over the place, 300 yards. And like, look what he did. He passed for 300 yards and ran the ball only 28 yards, total. So he's getting it done in the air, and his passing yards have steadily increased over the last 4 weeks. I mean, I've been impressed. You got a tough test to do it on Monday night, but right now, this team, I don't know about you, but this team has been surprising me because of all the injuries to the running game. They went through their whole 3 running backs on the roster before camp. They're down All-Pro Marcus Peters, and they just won 3 straight NFL football games.
Yeah.
Notably 2 on the road in a row, and notably against the Chiefs. They're 3-1. These wins early are going to translate into, hey, you quadruple these wins, they're easily probably in the playoffs in AFC. Obviously, if they keep the track record they're going, 3-1 at a clip, obviously with the 17th weird odd number game, they had the opportunity to go 12-5, or even, 13-4. The sky's the limit here. But right now, again, that was an impressive win, and it wasn't against like a ragtag team. The Broncos were undefeated, and we talked to it before leading up to the game last week. It doesn't matter who the Broncos played. They're still wins. They were still undefeated. I don't care if they beat the Jets or all the worst teams in the NFL. It doesn't matter. Wins are wins in the NFL, no matter who you're playing. You can't apologize who you're playing, just like the Broncos can't apologize for that. And they were unblemished, and the Ravens put an L in the column for the first time. So big AFC win. That was, and then you look at it as we talked to it leading up to the game, 3 out of the first 4 games were against AFC West opponents, and they're 2-1 in those games. And they got the Chargers coming up next to complete that gambit. Chargers, huge win, of course, against the Raiders on Monday night. So, but obviously we have to get through our AFC South foes and the Colts, as we know, on Monday night. But again, man, Denver, they put it together on the road, huge win. And I heard Harbaugh had high praise to say about the Flock. The Flock traveled well to Denver this past weekend.
Yeah, I definitely,
awesome.
When I was on the radio listening to it, I definitely heard that 7 Nation Army chant at the end of the game.
Awesome.
So, yeah, the Ravens flock, definitely, they flew to Denver with the Ravens. Great thing to see. So now let's talk about that ending of the game. We already got into it a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about it. So, like you brought up, the Ravens were able to break another record, go down in the record books, having 43 games, tying the league lead of 43 games with over, what was it? Was it 1,000 yards?
No, it's 43 straight games with at least 100 yards rushing.
With 100 yards. I'm sorry. 1,000's a lot. So,
I say in one game, man, that's a record. I could do that in Madden, maybe.
This record started when Lamar took over, so that is probably why this does mean so much to the Ravens. It's a Lamar-led. Yeah, exactly. So that is a big deal. Is it going to change their seeding? Is it going to change anything in the postseason? Going to change any titles or anything like that? No. It didn't get an Angry Runs award, didn't get Player of the Week awards, Player of the Month awards, nothing like that. So this is just something for the record books. But like our mantra has been this year, and what Harbaugh said in the locker room a couple weeks back, go for it. That's been the mantra. Go for it. We're down like this. Go for it. So I don't
fourth
blame
down.
them.
Go for it.
Go for it. I don't
he
blame
trusts his players.
Yeah, I don't blame the Ravens for wanting to go for that record. I mean, it happened in the preseason. Can we win this many games in a row? Go for it. So I don't blame them at all for that. For the Denver Bronco coach to come out and say, "Oh, we know who they are, and we know these things are important to them, and how they're run, and how they, there's etiquette and this, that, whatever." Dude, there's time left on the clock. Could the Ravens have taken a knee? Yeah, they could have, but they didn't. And if you're allowing your team to not be prepared for Lamar to run with 3 seconds left, you're coaching your team wrong, because this is the NFL. This is big boy stuff. The 60 minutes means 60 minutes.
Like Ray Lewis always said, right? It's a 60-minute ball game. You hear
right?
This? Yeah. How many times in a clip he heard that? But yeah, besides the point, you're right.
And if you guys are losing and you don't think that you want to stop that record from being made, if you know it's important to the Ravens and they're going to go for it, and you don't want to stop them, that's on you.
Well, like, you'd be part of history. You can stop them from getting the record. Then you'll be part of that history. Like, they lined up with 3 seconds left and we stopped them. Good us. But no, you knew it was coming and you did. What's also surprising, though, and Vic Fangio's history here, right? He's been in the league almost 40 years. He was a former Ravens coach. The last 2 years of his tenure here were with the Harbaugh regime. So what are you acting all brand new for? Like, it ain't like you don't know who they are. Like, to me, his comments were petty. Plus, at the fact that it's just again, like Harbaugh alluded to, not only Harbaugh, but none of us didn't think that the Ravens would get the ball back. Come on, man. Like, really, like they were, and I mean, it all can be summed up. And again, this isn't really more like an argument other than just talking about it, but it's like it's the Broncos' fault. Like, why are you trying to score? It ain't like it was a 6-point game, right? And if that was the case, it wouldn't have been a bigger deal. But right. I think more or less Fangio's comments are misplaced because he's probably frustrated at his team that they threw the pick. Like, be mad at Drew Lock. Like, be mad at your team for not executing. Like, dude, when they're calling timeouts and all that, we joked about it. I'm like, what if they turn the ball over and we get the ball back? And it actually happened. Like, again, like, everything fell into place for the Ravens. It was like a perfect storm. Like, why be mad? Like, it was a gift. Like, you actually just gifted the Ravens to tying the record. Like, right. I don't know. It just was like a unusual set of circumstances. Like, when the Broncos got the ball back, because they weren't calling timeouts, I literally looked at my dad and was like, oh, they have all 3 timeouts. They're probably going to at least try to do something. And remember, they could like let the clock running. I'm like, oh, they know it's done. And then for some reason, Brandon, it's kind of like they got their wits about him, was like, oh, it's like 30 seconds left. We better get down the field. And then they finally like threw a long pass, called a timeout, and they were within like striking distance. And I'm like, it just was a weird sequence of events, like how the Broncos looked like they wanted to end the game. And then they were kind of like, oh, crap, maybe you could score. I'm like, yeah, you had over a minute left. Now you don't. So, yeah, I kind of credit more the Broncos goofing up than the Ravens act, because the Ravens shouldn't have had that. Ravens should have been 3 yards short, and it probably would have been a topic of discussion somewhere. But, hey, you're right. But just like, and we alluded to with the preseason streak, even though this record kind of means more, because obviously, it's done during the regular season versus a preseason meaningless, but like we talked about who are we to judge? If that's important to the players and coaches, let them have their day in the sun. It's theirs to get. Yeah. Obviously, it's ours. It's our opinions out there, whether we want to agree with it or not. But they're going to do it whether we like it or not, right? Like, we're fans of the team, but like we have alluded to it, preseason or not, why is there a scoreboard if it doesn't count? Like, why are we counting? Why are we counting scores? I mean, obviously, it's a game. You have to count a score. But like, I can't remember if it was a player or a coach that said this. I want to say it was Tyus Bowser for some reason, but I can't remember. But I heard one of the Ravens players or coaches say, if there's a scoreboard out there, we're going to win it. I don't care if it don't count or not. And that's the truth. Like, and that's the way they're coached. That's the culture. And that's what Shannon Sharp was alluding to. He said, play like a Raven so many times on that little clip. He was like, it's play like a Raven. It's who they are. He was not born and bred in the culture, but he won a championship here. He knows how it is. And it wasn't Harbaugh, but that's how it is. Play to the whistle, play to snap. And for an NFL franchise to speak out like that, to me, I mean, yeah, he can think the Ravens are petty, but I can throw it right back to him and say, you are petty enough. You were trying to score. And I loved how Harbaugh kind of gave him the last shot. you're trying to score 16 point. I didn't know there's 16-point play in the NFL. Like that was the bet. That was it. Like, it was kind of like mic drop, chest, checkmate, done. Like, but I guess it just adds to the drama in the NFL, I guess. Right. Just like when I watched the pre-fight for Fury and Wilder, and they were going at it, just like how the boxers get up there and they jaw, and the fighters have their day in the sun and say what they want. But at the end of the day, you got to get in there and finish. And that's what I love about the Ravens. They finish. They were like, no, we're going to go get that. And who are we to get them? The record was within reach. Everything fell in line for them to get it when they really had all probability they shouldn't have gotten it. Yeah. And it was awesome. And we were actually more overjoyed the fact that they tied the record on an improbable set of circumstances, and they did actually winning the game. Dad actually said that. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I don't even care if they actually won the game. That was ridiculously crazy how that happened. Like, and again, it could add to the drama of how the last 3 games have won. It's just like, and I said it to you last week. What else can they get into? They ended the game on this kind of stuff. It's just amazing, but it does set up for a Monday Night Football matchup against the Colts. Obviously the record isn't the end all be all of this game, but they have a chance to do it in their first home game of being home for a month. So we talked about 2 straight road games. Ravens are home for a month, brother. Got 4 home games in a row. We're blessed with that after 3 out of 4 to start the season. It's awesome how the schedule can line up like that with a bye week on Halloween weekend. So the Ravens are going to be on the road not until pretty much a month exactly from the Monday night game. They play Monday, October 10th. They next go on the road on a Thursday night football game in Miami on November 11th. So,
and that is a road game, but that's also Miami, Florida in November. It's going to be pretty nice. They're not going to have to deal with any cold weather.
So it could be another kind of home game for the Ravens. You're right.
But let's, before we get into the game against Indy, let's talk about these 4 games coming up that are all at home. We have the Indy, we'll call them the Colts for now, but Indy, the Los Angeles Chargers. That is a 1:00 start. The Bengals, our first division rival. That's a 1:00 start on the 24th. A bye week, and then the Minnesota Vikings on November 7th. That's also a 1:00. So that's a good lineup. But looking at those 4 games, what kind of of course we would love to go 4-0, but
at home, yeah.
What's your prediction for wins, losses for those 4 games? Barring what we know now, we don't know what kind of injuries could pop up or whatever. Right. Personally, I can see them going 2-2 with this 4-week stretch.
2-2. Who's your wins and losses there?
I think, spoilers giving away my the ending here, but I think that they can beat Indy, and I think that they can beat Minnesota.
Wow, losing 2 straight to the Chargers and Bengals. Wow, okay. After winning 4 straight, okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to go 1 game better. I see them going 3-1, losing to the Chargers. So just because I look at it this way, Chargers are playing very hot football. Right now, the same record as the Ravens, 3-1. They've also beaten the Chiefs, albeit that was on the road in their head. But they did also beat the Raiders soundly by 2 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. So they've had 2 straight divisional games. They're 3-1. Chargers had a crazy game against the not crazy, but they had a game that slipped away from them against the Cowboys. So Chargers could easily be 4-0. Just like you can break any plays down with any team, they could be any sort of record. But that's how I see it playing out. I think the Chargers are going to be a tough game, but we could certainly break that down after the Colts matchup and get more into that and how that goes, depending on obviously the results of Monday Night Football. Not saying to change anything, but I just see looking at it, and you're right. Ravens can go 4-0, but you know what I found very oddly now, really dissecting and looking at the schedule with a I want to say microscope, magnifying glass here, and really looking at it. The Ravens don't play their first divisional game until October 24th. Ridiculous. And the next one isn't till almost a month from that. It's Sunday Night Football at home against the Browns. So all of our divisional games are backloaded. Holy crap. Hold on to the AFC. Because right now there's a 3-way tie for first place in the AFC North with the Steelers losing 3 straight as we know it. And they are 1-3, which is awesome. We all love to make fun of that, but that's what I'm saying. Again, I don't care if the Bengals just beat the Jaguars, which obviously Jaguars could have easily had that game. AFC North is looking very tough right now, and that Bengals game might loom huge in 2 weeks, depending on obviously the outcome. If both Bengals and Ravens, if the Ravens and Bengals actually can take care of business, that could easily, with the Browns, that's going to be for some sort of divisional lead somewhere. So that's going to be an all-important game at the end of October leading into the bye week. But you're right, man. It's going to be a great home stretch here before it gets crazy at the end of the year.
Yeah, that Bengals game, I mean, in hockey, we like to say that type of game is a 4-point game because it's up against a division rival, probably one that you're going to be fighting tooth and nail with towards the end of the year.
Right.
That Bengals game, to me, I mean, I can see the Bengals really sneaking away with a win. The Bengals, they're nothing to like push over this year. They're a legit team. They're going to be a scary team on the stretch. So
they are.
And
they
the
have
fact
young
that
talent.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, go ahead.
They have young talent, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow as well. So the Bengals, because they're Bengals, I mean, we understand what last year was, but last year was last year. They're 3-1, just like the Ravens, so it doesn't matter. What I also found really odd, and not odd, but surprising, and I kind of forgot, I just alluded to it, right? The Ravens play their first divisional game at home on the 24th of October. They don't play until the Browns at home. So the first two division games are at home, Browns and Bengals and Browns. But on the heels of that Browns Sunday night game at the end of November, heading into December, they actually play two more straight AFC North games. They play the Browns, Steelers, and then Browns back-to-back in a 3-week stretch. So before coming home to the Packers. So, like, I mean, I don't want to turn this into like a kind of a schedule breakdown, which I don't really care because we're the call and we can kind of go where we want, right? But it's like looking at this schedule. I mean, I know we dissect game by game here and take it game by game. We got to get to the Colts matchup on Monday Night Football to end week 5. But it's like, hey, man, like this schedule, you might think that the Ravens, okay, if they're 3-1, if they duplicate that 4 times in a row, they're 12, 13 wins. But I'm like, bro, you got to take this game by game, man, because this schedule with these teams, anything's possible. And the Chargers are up and coming. The Bengals are up and coming. The Vikings are kind of a big question mark. We know what the Colts are, obviously 1-3 limping in here. They finally got their first win on Sunday. I don't know how they did, but they are one of the few NFL teams, along with both New York teams, that ended that skid. And the Colts entered this weekend at 0-3, and they finally got their first win. So I was kind of actually happy about that, because the last thing I want to do is face a team who was hungry at 0-4 on Monday Night Football, trying to get their first win and being a spoiler. So I'm not saying that they're not dangerous because of that, but I feel like it's less edgy because they're not that desperate anymore. And they kind of got that first win, and they're going to try to build momentum. But Ravens are riding a 3-game winning streak here. Coming home on a Monday Night Football game that they're going to be donning their black jerseys, purple pants is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, let's talk a little bit about this Monday night game up against Indy, welcoming them to town. Hopefully the Indianapolis is coming here on a Mayflower truck. Yeah, like you said, they're 1-3 right now. They got their first win this past week. This team has not looked good. Indy has not looked good this year. Carson Wentz, we know he's had a lot of injuries, a lot of problems with his ankles. He went on the COVID list for a little bit at the beginning of the year. He's definitely a guy that I think he can grit it out. He's gonna play those full 60 minutes. He's gonna try to work as much as he can. But I definitely see the Ravens defense being able to dominate this guy. They can make his life very difficult. If the defensive line can get to him and sack him as much as possible, make him uncomfortable, then the Ravens, I mean, that's going to be their recipe for success. Getting to Carson Wentz, not giving him a lot of time, doing as much as you can against him, forcing him to throw the ball maybe, because we know that their running game can be a little dodgy as well. But get to Carson Wentz, make his life uncomfortable, and I think that sack him as many times as possible. We know that a Dafe Owe can get away with that. His big thing in college in Penn State was that he was never able to get a sack. He's already proven in the NFL that he can do that, and I think this game you can really see what he can do. Him, Tyus Bowser, some other really good talent on this Ravens team. I think these guys could have a field day against Carson Wentz.
I think so too, and I'm actually going to go a few better. I think as a team, this team, the Ravens defense unit, I want to see 5 sacks against Wentz. I'm gonna put a goal out there. I want to see 5 sacks total plus the bare minimum 5 sacks. If it's 4.5, you're running laps in my book. I want 5 sacks from this defensive unit. I certainly think they get the Wentz, and I'm not saying it's going to be a bloodbath or a blowout or anything like that. I mean, they are still NFL caliber players. Their teams, they all get paid to do the same profession. So, but we understand there are bad teams out there. There are good teams and there are great and elite teams. So we understand that. I mean, the Colts do present a problem, but it's more like the problem of, okay, they're in their way and they're going to play spoiler. They're 1-3 and they're desperate. They're one game ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 0-4 in their division. But we understand that that division's still up for grabs because I believe the Titans 2-2, but the AFC South standings, I mean, they're right there. So it's not like, not saying because the Colts are 1-3, they're out of the race at all.
2-2, correct.
Yeah, they are too. I just pulled up 2, man. All right. So yes, I mean, they're one game behind first place, and in retrospect, they're tied with the Texans at 1-3. Obviously they're one game. So it's like they're one game. It's just crazy division. They're one game out of first place, but they're one game out of last place. So I'm not saying they're out of it being at 1-3, but because when you look at solely records, like, oh, a team's 1-3, playing 1-3, like it's going to be a lopsided affair. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, we understand the Jets and Giants both got their first wins this past weekend, and they all. So the Giants, Jets, and Colts were combined 0-9, and they all 3 won games. I don't care how they did it. So, I'm not going to take a Colts team lightly here, but I really certainly can see, with the Ravens being favored by a touchdown at home on Monday Night Football, and with the Ravens being their second home game of the year, their second primetime game, or the third primetime game, I should say, of the season, their second Monday Night Football game in 5 weeks. Colts, Ravens, we understand the history there. I should say Indy and get away from saying the Colts. I know, I'm sorry, but it's just when I keep looking at it on paper, it's what it says. Like my game program says that. So we should make them change it to Indy because we know in the stadium it says Indy, not Colts, but we'll get away from that. But it's still a little digs there for those. But, we know the history with these two teams. We understand what it means. Most recently, obviously, the 2012 ride, playing Andrew Luck at home in the playoffs. So we understand what it means to beat the Colts or Indy. So you can find me for every time I say the C word, right? And I'm
just going to bleep you during the edit.
Oh, that would be awesome. Like every time I say goals is like beat, and they're like, man, I don't know. Just I really can see, but like I said, 5 sacks from the defensive unit. I really see I see a momentum shift for the Ravens. I think they're going to, even though we love to see them just barely get 100 yards every week to preserve or even at least break the record on Monday night. Then after that, I don't care, just break it. Especially because it's Steeler record. And again, I don't want to be stuck on that, but that means more when you can really stick it to people, like in that era. And what the Steelers were to accomplish in that 70s era with their championships and, with who was running the ball at that point. And not only that, but I don't want to focus too much on the running game. And I feel like I want to put a goal out there for the running backs to really get into gear, but you have to understand what the Ravens are up against. I believe Franco Harris was a running back on that Steelers team. Correct me if I'm wrong, that had that record. And obviously it was during an era, mid-70s, where they won those titles. I heard the second team on that list was a Buffalo Bills team at 35. That was O.J. Simpson. So I'm not saying, like, if anybody's going to write this record off, be careful, because number one, it stood for this. And that was also, I think, on the heels of the 70s too, the Bills did it. So this record has been standing for close to 40 years, probably well before I was born. So, and the fact that it's the company that they've beaten, and you think about the Ravens running attack in those 3 years, think about it this year. Who'd have thought the Ravens would have preserved that record if you'd have figured out the record was even attainable before the season started? When Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill go down, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, the odds of that happening are slim to none because they got to bring in a whole new crew, and they're still getting it done. And they got it done with a craziness happening at the end of the game, with everything falling into place. And with Lamar running it less and less and throwing it more and more, it's going to be that much more impressive. And I can't wait to see what's in store. Speaking of the passing game, Harbaugh alluded to it this week. Will Bateman get the playing time? He's got to get back into football shape. He hasn't really played in an NFL game at all. Will we see him and Boykin's, not say Boykin's debut, but Boykin's 2021 debut? Will we see Bateman's debut of this year and Boykin out there on Monday night, or we're going to wait another week? What's the injury report like? What's they saying? What's going on?
Let me see the injury report here. We have for Thursday, these are the people that did not participate. We have Justin Houston, Jimmy Smith, Ronnie Stanley, Geno Stone, Alexander Villanueva, and Deshaun Elliott. Those are the guys that did not participate on Thursday. So everybody else seems to be good to go. Let me see if I can get the
I didn't hear Wolf's name.
We just always assume he's not playing.
I know. He's on IR, actually.
Yeah.
I was joking.
Yeah, those are the only guys that did not participate. Deshaun Elliott was limited participation, so I should correct myself there. He did have limited participation, but I mean, these Jimmy Smith, it says that was rest. Justin Houston, that was rest, so that might just be some veteran, like a veteran day off. But Ronnie Stanley, Geno Stone, and Villanueva, that was knee, ankle, thigh, knee, respectively. So we know Villanueva got a little banged up in this last game, which is unfortunate because he is doing really well in the spot he is in now. So with Ronnie Stanley out, Villanueva was able to go to his normal spot and was really starting to excel. So hopefully he can come in and he can be close to 100%. But I would like to see Rashad Bateman at least catch one or two passes from Lamar in this game. It'd be good to get him into the mix a little bit, see what he can do. With this 1-3 team, that might be the time to do it. Maybe something late in the third quarter, maybe in the fourth quarter, where the Ravens potentially could have a lead going forward. They could try him out a little bit and see what Rashad Bateman can do.
We're going to see. I mean, we're obviously recording this a few days before the game. Harbaugh's still been a little quiet about it, kind of like that we'll see approach, but I like his approach. Like, you don't want to rush the guy back. He just got off the injury, this night, and coming off of that, you don't want to just rush him out there. And especially with the Ravens doing it, it ain't like they're throwing it for less than 200 yards a game, and you're like, man, we need help run a passing game. Like, we're just coming off a 300-yard game off of Lamar's arm, and with the personnel we're doing it with, it's kind of like, I'm not saying we don't need these guys, but it's like, when we get these guys back, it's going to be a huge boost. But what's the rush? It ain't like they're 1-3 desperate. They're 3-1, still winning the games with what they're doing in the personnel. So let's usher them back in. And I prefer looking at, again, I don't like to look ahead, but I know we just did with the schedule a little bit all the way to almost December. But looking at a Chargers matchup looming on the Sunday following, which you're going to probably have to keep up with the Joneses there, right? Just like the Chiefs game. I'd rather give him one more week of rest, and I'd rather have those guys back for a Sunday bill against the Chargers, which you're going to have to keep up. So that's the way I look at it. But hey, I'm not going to complain if his debut is Monday Night Football this week. But you had to figure his debut as a Raven's going to be at some point during this home stretch. So I'm going to get to see it, and I'm going to be excited about it to see what the guys got. Because again, before the injury, watching his camp film, and that's why I was really bummed not to see him in camp, because when I went, I was excited to see what he looked like up close, personal. So we'll see what remains there. We know where the injury report resides, but I really feel like the Ravens, again, with the goals of 5 sacks, I like that. And again, with taking care of the football, running it, we know it's at stake. 100 yards as a team, beating the record on Monday Night Football, which is great. Some nuggets here. Speaking of Monday Night Football and all that, the Ravens are 2-1 at home in Monday Night Football games.
Right.
But not only that, but under John Harbaugh, an NFL best, and we're talking since 2008, which is Harbaugh. We're not saying NFL best. We're saying NFL best primetime record since 2008. Ravens are 16-2 in primetime.
I like it.
That speaks a lot, doesn't it? That speaks a lot.
That says a lot to the people that are always saying Lamar always chokes under the lights.
And up until recently, obviously he had the primetime blunder on Monday Night Football this year, but he redeemed himself on a second consecutive primetime game, Sunday Night Football, and now he's got another one coming up. And just for the sake of records and all that, the Ravens boast, and it's the percentage that gets it. They're 16-2 and 8.89 winning percentage. The Seahawks are number 2 since 2008 at 22-3 with an 8.80 percentage, and then the New Orleans Saints are 23-6 with a 7.93 winning percentage. So 16-2 under Harbaugh. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, the Ravens have played 18 primetime games since 2008. They're getting some love. You look at it, I mean, the Seahawks have 25 games and the Saints have 29 in that stretch. So to really win most of your primetime games, they're making the most of being with that exposure. And I would love to know. My homework this week is depending on the outcome, obviously, of the Monday night game, which obviously I'm going to predict a win here for the Ravens to go 4-1 mark and win their fourth straight game. I would love to know who those two losses are. And anybody listening, before I even do my homework, because I'm going to wait till after the Monday night matchup, and I'm going to do my homework before we record next, me and Brandon. I would love to know if anybody knows what those two are or researches. I would love to know who those two losses are too. I'm gonna say I think the one I already know the one is the Raiders game this past year. So I would love to know who that one other single team is in prime time. So I'm trying to remember. Like I'm going back to like last year and then going back to like the era. I want to say it might be the Jacksonville Jaguars in Monday Night Football. I think they're both 2 Monday night losses.
It's kind of weird to think about them losing to Jacksonville.
But it doesn't make sense because, I don't know. Well, because they did lose a Monday night matchup. But see, the problem is if they're 2-1 in Monday night games. Let me see where the mark is. They're 2-1 at home on Monday Night Football under John Harbaugh at home. There's the difference at home. So
what game was it that the player threw the yellow flag into the stands? Do you remember that?
I think that was a Monday Night Football game against the. See, now this is going to be tough because now I'm like, I feel like they had more primetime losses in the air because that was a money, but I don't know if that was under John Harbaugh. That was the year before John Harbaugh. That was 2007. That was the undefeated year with the Patriots. That was Brian Billick's last year. That was 2007. Yeah, because that Monday night game where the flag got thrown in the stands, that was the Patriots' perfect year. We could have ended that. That's why the game was so tight.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, because they're 2-1.
That was 2007. Way to go, man! That was Bart man. Scott throws. You
should take me to
flag.
Ravens trivia. I'm available for Ravens trivia. Anybody?
I did that. What was that in 2019? I did that. We came in like 13th.
Yes.
You were supposed to be my secret weapon.
Yeah, well, they were asking questions that like you never would have thought about. Like of all my Ravens knowledge and obscure stuff I remember like that. It's like I know how much. Like I'm like thinking like I'm preparing. Like I know how many yards Jamal Lewis ran in his record year. I know how many passing yards Joe Flacco has, and then they're asking like what was the Ravens fifth round draft pick in 1997? I'm like, I have no clue. Like, you kidding me? Like, it was some stupid question like that. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna know that. Like, I didn't research the whole draft history from like 20 years ago. Sorry, man, but yeah, it was 2007. Plus, I was there. I should have remembered that. I was there with my dad. Never forget. I was sitting fourth row in the end zone. I have a great shot, by the way. I might have to bust it out and put it on the Call's Facebook page. Find it on my Facebook. I have a great shot of the great Tom Brady and Ray Lewis head to head right there. Tom Brady was like head on right at me and like almost like pointing because they were right at the goal line and I was like right there. So I want to dig that photo up on my personal page and I'm going to throw that oldie but a goodie onto the Call Facebook page for everyone to enjoy. That was a great picture.
Log on to your MySpace and find it.
It better be there. It might be on MySpace because I don't think Facebook was around. I don't even know if I still have that photo. Now I'm like bummed if I can't find it. I'm going to find it. I'm on a witch hunt now, man. You got me going.
If we're talking Ravens Indy though, what do you think some of the keys to winning for the offense is going to be this coming Monday up against Indy? Because I have a feeling that this running game is still a little suspect. I still want them to go for that record, that 100-yard records, but I feel like we're going to have to focus on Lamar's arm a little bit more, which that's what we're going to need Hollywood Brown to be at his 100%, his top playing, and we're going to need Mark Andrews to do his thing. You know, he's kind of started off a little bit slow this year. But I think this is going to be a very pass-heavy. He does have the picture. Look at that.
Look at that.
All right, we're definitely going to have to share that on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I got it. It's up there. It's one of my favorite all-time photos, and can't believe Tom Brady's still playing after that. I took that photo in 2007. Ed Reed and Ray Lewis are Hall of Famers with their gold jackets, and number 12 is still playing. What is going on?
Still playing at the top of the league, too. That's the crazy part.
I mean, he's top 5 in passing yards, but besides the points, ridiculous.
Yeah. So do you think for this that we are going to see Lamar kind of throwing the ball a little bit more? Is it going to be more pass-heavy, or do you think that this running game could actually start to get going at this point?
Well, I mean, you've seen it in 2 weeks. Didn't they have like almost 500 yards as a team in 2 straight weeks? I mean, they ran it for like near 200 yards against Razor Monday Football. And I was there on Sunday night. They had 240 or 50 yards, almost 300 rushing yards against the Chiefs. Like ridiculous. So I'm like, I mean, remember, I think we covered it after week 2. The Ravens had like near 500 yards and the next closest team was like the Eagles rushing at like 300 something. Like, I mean, they're a rushing team. but I don't want to get stuck on like, and again, I get where you're going with it. Like, okay, we want to see him air it out more because we want to be a believer in Lamar's arm. We get that. But I don't want to get stuck on, but the Ravens got to do this or the Ravens got to do that, because I feel, and I've talked to this amongst my friends, I feel like Lamar balls out and the Ravens are more successful when Lamar just goes out and does his thing. If the rushing attack is there, and I know it all comes from the top and Greg Roman calling the scheme, but if the running game gets shut down, let Lamar do his thing and air it out. And if that's the case, and that's kind of how I felt like the game went Sunday. It wasn't like I think the Ravens, and again, we're not in the coach's room. We don't know what the scheme was for Greg Roman, and his offense, but I felt like with the Ravens being known as a run first identity and with Lamar under the helm, and obviously he's got almost 300 yards rushing as a quarterback, with the Broncos crediting to the Broncos shutting the run down, the Ravens are like, okay, we got to throw it. So I felt like it could have been maybe a combination of game plan, a combination of giving what the defense stopped them from doing, and then what they were giving them. But I would love, to your point, I would love to see a second straight game of Lamar getting 300 yards in the air, no turnovers, maybe more than one touchdown. I'm not complaining. He's got 4 touchdowns to 3 picks on the season. I think we're all craving for that 4 or 5 touchdown game like he had before. We saw it 2 years ago in 2019 Monday Night Football, 5 touchdowns against the Rams. It was ridiculous. We saw 5 touchdowns against the Miami Dolphins on the road to start that year. So, I mean, but are we complaining? I mean, he's throwing like one and a half touchdown a game. Obviously we're 4 games in. He's averaged 1 passing touchdown. He's got 4 versus 3 picks. So there you go. He's averaging 1 passing touchdown a game. I'm not going to complain. We're at a 3-1 record, but I feel like there's more on the table. Mark Andrews is yet to get a touchdown, and he's on a touchdown drought. I don't think he's caught a touchdown well since last year. So obviously he hasn't had one this year. We need to get Mark involved. I'm going to put another one out there. Yeah, I'm a guy about goals today for Monday night. I want Mark Andrews to get another his first touchdown of the year. 89 is going to get a touchdown. I think Lamar throws for 3 and for 300. I'm going to say Lamar's goes 3 for 3, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, no turnovers. Rushing attack gets it done, maybe with a $120, maybe around that to get it on the ground. But the Ravens got to play what they've been doing, complete Ravens football. Taking what the defense gives them. It's still going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough out. But I don't think, looking at the Colts offense and what they can accomplish, we knew Jonathan Taylor is going to be a stud for them. He's their J.K. Dobbins. They come out of the same draft, I believe. So, it's going to be, who takes care of the ball more and who doesn't make that mistake. And I feel like the Ravens, if they can duplicate that no turnovers formula, and with the home crowd and the home cooking, and I'm going to be there rocking and the flock and the purple walls, and we know what they can bring, it's going to be a tough time for Carson and company to get done on offense. And I don't think they're going to fall short, but I think the Ravens are going to have a second big win, more than 2 scores. I think they can get it done. I think it's going to be a 27-10 bout with the Ravens here winning.
That.
27-10, right for the score. And it's going to be a great way to end week 5, early October style. It's going to be awesome. And as we know, the purple pants, black jerseys, we know the last time it was alluded to on Ravens Twitter land, the last time the Ravens wore that combination of black jersey, purple pants, it was to end Lamar's kind of that first year, 2018. It was the Mosley interception to seal the win against the Browns to send them to the playoffs.
Good
so
game.
We have some special memories there. So some fans were liking to point that out. Said the last time we wore this jersey combo, it was awesome. So Ravens going to get it done. Can't wait to see how it plays out. But to your point, man, in airing it out would be fantastic. And you can't forget about the run. Hopefully they definitely get the 100 yards as they need. Would be fantastic to break that at home in prime time and make a statement about that. But for Lamar to really connect 2 games back-to-back over 300 yards and have his third one in his early career, that's going to say something to, again, it's not about proving the haters wrong or the naysayers, but it's like, look, what Lamar's been accomplishing, let him go, let him fly. And I really can't wait to see what's in store for Monday night.
Yeah, I can see the Ravens definitely coming away with a win on Monday night. I want to say 34-17 as the final. I can see the Ravens coming away with a win. I want to see what these guys can do. Come on, I need to see Lamar throw it more. Like you're saying, let's see what he can do, but I think he needs to. I don't think the running game is strong enough to really help this offense out and seal the deal. So he's going to have to throw it, I think.
You know what? I agree with you there. I don't think you're right for a sustainable 17-game schedule plus playoffs, right? If we get there, you're right. I don't think this group is going to be getting it done. And then the last thing you want to do is having Lamar having to run 100 yards himself because the crew can't get it done. So you're right. It's good now, but he might have to go 300 or 400 yards in the air and limit the turnovers and mistakes and fumbling it. It's going to be a tall order, man. It's not going to be an easy task. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't think I'm a believer for a holistic season with this crew, and they might have to trade. Plus, with Indy looming, there has been rumors out there that the Ravens should be a trade partner for Marlon Mack, who's third on the depth chart for the Colts. I say Colts again. You're going to bleep it. I gotta stop it. Because I keep looking at the thing on my thing and it says, even though Ravens app says Colts versus Ravens, I mean, come on, it says Colts right there. Every time I see this, I give up. I'm done. But anyway, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. What was I saying? I don't know.
That they were trading for somebody.
Marlon Mack was a potential trade partner with the Ravens, that the Ravens should trade for Marlon Mack. Obviously, the Indy's depth chart, got it right this time, is Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. See what happens. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, with the Ravens situation, they're very, very much against the cap. We'll see how it goes. Trying to look through my notifications here for one last point. I thought one of the Colts players was in the injury report. Nyheim Hines with a shoulder popped on the injury report. That is something to monitor going through the weekend. That is the Colts backup running back. I might just don't care anymore. I love it. Yep, it's all it says. Hines shoulder pop up on injury report. So something to monitor going into the matchup. Their running game could be banged up, but for the most part, coming out of the Broncos game, Ravens coming in this game without mentioning obviously the 50 players they probably have on IR at this point. It seems like they are coming into relatively healthy. We understand that we'd love to have Ronnie Stanley back. We know Jimmy Smith has somewhat been in and out, but right now it doesn't look like, as we covered it earlier, any Ravens are in danger of missing this game. And for right now, I mean, things can change in the environment in the NFL practices, but as of right now, it looks like we're going to have the same personnel as we did in Denver.
And that's good because, I mean, it worked in Denver. Let's hope it works here back home in Baltimore up against Indy. So, Josh, have we covered everything for this episode of The Call?
Got one more thing before I make our famous closing.
All right, one more thing. What we got?
We are recording this, obviously, October 7th, a day before Purple Friday. October 7th is a day we always remember here in Baltimore. It is supposedly the day that Edgar Allan Poe died.
That's correct.
So I thought
that
was
true.
Very unique to record today. So with that being said, rest in peace, the great Edgar Allan Poe. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
There you go. Well, guys, if you want to continue the conversation with Josh or I, you can. It's real easy. All you have to do is tweet to either one of us. You can tweet to me at BrandoCash. Josh, where can people tweet to you at?
Always at the time, JU52.
Now go over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thecallpodcast. Like us over there. Whenever a new show comes out, you'll be the first to know. Hopefully, we'll be able to figure out what's going on with Apple soon. But until then, we do post our show on Facebook directly and on YouTube, and it's available on a lot of different other podcast platforms. But if we ever find out what's going on with Apple, we will definitely let you know over on our Facebook page. So go like us over there. Now we do the show for free. You listen, stream, and download for free on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. All we ask in return is for you to please spread the word about the show. Write us an Apple Podcast review. Let people know on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram and Reddit and Snapchat and Twitch and TikTok. Anywhere you're social on the web or with your phone. Say, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I listen to The Call, and you should too. So that is pretty much it for the show this week. Last little piece of advice I can give everybody before this game on Monday night. Check it out on ESPN+. It's a 2009 documentary. It's called The Band That Wouldn't Die, and it's the story about the Baltimore Colts marching band and what it was like having the Baltimore
Colts. He said Colts.
Yeah,
I'm
Baltimore Colts. That's right.
Oh, I know. I'm messing with you.
It's the story of how the Baltimore Colts left and how they hid the marching band uniforms, and how the band still was playing around the country and was still performing as the Baltimore Colts band, even though the team was gone. So if you have ESPN Plus, I have to recommend watching The Band That Wouldn't Die, because it's an absolutely fantastic story, and it'll tell you why people are still upset to this day about why what it was like. And if you go back, I think it was in 2019, I interviewed a guy named Jim Bigwood on The Call. If you go into our archives, you can check out that episode of The Call, and he was actually live on air on the radio, working at that radio station, WBAL, as the Colts were leaving town. So you can check out that interview with him, and he gets to tell you firsthand what it was like to be around and be working in media at that day as it was happening. So watch that on ESPN Plus. Check out The Call archives, and you know what? I'll find it as well, and I'll post it to the Facebook page so people can check that out again. So lots of stuff for you guys to check out before this Monday game against Indy, and then hopefully they'll be leaving on a Mayflower truck with a loss.
Every time you say Indy, I think Indiana Jones. Indy, like that, weird. Yeah. Awesome.
But that's it for The Call this week. Josh, take us out the way you always do.
As I always do. Thank you so much, my friend, man. Great show as always. We're creeping up to almost 300, man. Can't wait. Do something big for that 300. I can't believe 300. It's been almost 10 years, man. We're going to celebrate 10 years next year.
Crazy. Yeah.
So 9 strong years going, almost 300 episodes. Call strong. The flock is strong with us, and we're going to be strong Monday night, man. Second home game of the year, prime time. If that. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to get crazy with you all down there and lose it and lose our minds and root hard for the Ravens for another win, man. And they're going for 4 straight win, which is unbelievable. And given the injuries, as we talked about, given all the problems, again, we heard Brian Billick always say this: you are what your record says you are, and you're as only good as your last game. And it's true. The Ravens played a great game and silenced the stall, who didn't think they could get it done in Denver. For those who can get it done, they knew what the Ravens were about. And to really start this home stretch right on Monday Night Football, it's going to be awesome. And for the Ravens to really take advantage of this home schedule and the home crowd, for everybody to come out and see this football team and root them hard on success is going to be fantastic. And I can't wait to see what's in store for this football team. And hey, who knows? The wild and craziness with the record being preserved, see if they can really break that Steeler record and put us in the record books. That'll be crazy to remember. A 2021 season with 2 NFL records. We have the longest kick in NFL history and the longest streak rushing in NFL history. So, it almost reminds me of how Ray Lewis alluded to his story of striking his father from the record books, and what kind of drove Ray Lewis to be great, right? It's like he wanted to strike his name and keep going until every last record fell. And it's kind of like the Ravens mantra, man. It's just, they don't care. They don't care about your feelings. They're going to get it done no matter what. They're going to go for it. They're going to do whatever it takes to get it done and to do what's best for them. And who are we to stop them? And Indy's in the way. Don't think they're going to stop the Ravens on Monday night. Everybody get ready for some Monday Night Football at the Big Crab Cake, as if Chris Berman always alludes to it. With that said, Monday Night Football, Indy, Ravens. Let's fly high.
This has been a production of Brando Cash Entertainment. Music by Brad Lepore and Daniel Kelly from the DBK Studio. For more information, go to brandocash.com.